Hello and welcome to the Rev It Up podcast, helping entrepreneurs fill up their tanks, crank up the RPMs, and put the pedal to the metal until they cross that finish line. Hello, I'm Jess Tiffany. Ready, set, go. Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode. I am glad to have a return guest, Joanne Weiland. She invents industries. She is the Chief Connections Officer and founder of the collaboration cloud community called linkedtoexpert, and that's linkedtoexpert.com. Joanne connects executives, entrepreneurs, event professionals, and all the media from around the world. Her passion is to encourage others to experience, elevate, and express. Be all you are designed to be. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Jess.
Oh, well, I just want to say thank you for coming back to our show. We had a great episode and previously, and now we got this one, and I'm excited to chat with you again. And before we get too far into it, could you tell them real quick? I gave them link to expert with a TO in the middle, but if you could give them the other ways to reach out to you.
Sure. Call me anytime at 727-791-7338. And if you prefer to text, 727-243-9453. That's 727-243-9453. And tell me that you heard me on Jess's show.
Awesome. Excellent. And so tell me a little bit. So your website obviously is all about collaboration. You have experts on there. You have these cool databases where basically it sends out automated emails as people or twice a month and whatnot. And it's very powerful. I think the reach was from the previous episode we talked was like 317,000. But if you could tell us a little bit about kind of how you maybe originally came up with the idea of Linked to Expert, and then maybe kind of some of the successes you've seen over the last few years here.
Sure. For 20 years prior to this, I traveled and I worked with business owners. It was back in the day when you actually did everything eyeball to eyeball, the breakfast, lunches, and dinners. One time in Vegas, I had 3 breakfast meetings and 1 lunch meeting and a dinner meeting and then a show in one day. So, I mean, it was back when you really got to know and go visit your client. And so it was mainly business owners that I worked with, executives. And I'd say about most of them had incredible ideas, Jess, but only about 5% of them implemented those ideas. So I wanted to know why, because it just didn't seem right that, 5% were successful and the 95 just kind of hobbled along. So I found the 95% really only knew about 5 people. They might have went to a networking meeting once a month, maybe a chamber meeting or whatever, but they sat with the same 5 people. And I couldn't hardly understand that because I, again, traveled over the million miles. So I knew people all over the world. I was doing global alliances since I was 19. So I really didn't understand how they only knew 5 people. But I did find the 5% that was their secret. They knew different people. They hired experts to help them, like you, to help them write their book or to help them, create their online marketing platform. An e-course, whatever it is that they would, want to do at that time. And they hired that person, and that way it got finished. So I wanted to know why more than 5% of the people, how we could help more people get to know different experts. Because I traveled, I got to meet lots of experts because I was always at those trade shows or the conferences or the conventions where they were speaking, and I used to get all riled up and pumped up and love to hang out with them because, I learned stuff from them all the time. And so once I, thought about it and couldn't find any resource, I always felt like my original mentor was Norman Vincent, and he always said, if you find a need, fill it. Well, I found the need. So it's like, okay, am I going to take the jump and leave corporate America and go on my own? And I did. And so that's when all this started. We did it the traditional way, though. First, I would still contact all the executives and ask them what they needed, and then try to match them up with the right expert that would be the right for their project. But I also found with that it would take months because of the fact that I usually had to meet at a board meeting, go to a board meeting or a committee meeting and present 2 or 3 different people that would be good candidates for their project. And by the time, I got everybody what they needed, because most of the time they would ask me for the experts' bios or their videos or their books, if they wrote a book, if they were quoted in Inc. magazine, if they were in Fortune magazine, you name it. They would ask me all these things, and it would take months to get them all the information. Well, by that time, Jess, a lot of times we lost the deal just because another project took precedence over it, and it, just fell through the cracks. So I thought, well, we got to be able to give them this information in minutes. And so that's when we created Link to Expert in 2007, where you could find the expert, check out all their credentials, all the questions they asked us all those years at the board meetings and the committee meetings. Now the expert can fill in, it's like a template based, so that the people that are asking about it, they can just download it from anywhere. And now, as you know, people are meeting all over the world online instead of in the boardroom. And so when they do that, they can all look at just Tiffany's Link to Expert and see everything about him and give the thumbs up or thumbs down within minutes. And that way you get hired fast, as well as they get their idea implemented fast. So it's a true win-win-win for everybody.
Oh,
So that
great.
was a long way of saying what I did that.
That's fantastic. And obviously, there's a lot of ways you've monetized the website and ways people can make money on the platform. And of course, this is we like to talk about revenue here. So, what's maybe like the 3 best ways, or 3 ways you can make money on Link to Expert that's pretty powerful?
Sure. We actually, every expert like yourself has an online store, and there's actually 181 ways they can make money using Link to Expert. When you want to be known as the expert, okay, let me clarify that. So that would be the only reason you'd want to join, if you want to be known as the expert. And when you say the top 3, I think that people don't realize it, but you can repurpose so many things, like how you're an international best-selling author. You have that book. You can have it as an ebook. You can have it as an audiobook. You can have it as so many different ways, like even how a white paper, because it's still your area of your expertise, like how you started these podcasts a few months ago. This is brilliant because of the fact that people can still learn about your area of expertise, but they can either be part of your podcast, maybe you interview them, or they could sponsor your podcast, to be a sponsor on it. There's just unlimited ways. One time I talked for 2 hours of the way so we can repurpose what we already created. I mean, it's something as simple as coffee with Jess. So they would sign up, they would pay for a half an hour to, sit here on Zoom and have coffee with you and pay you to learn what they could do in the situation they're in, because of the fact that you have that area of expertise to be able to help them. I mean, we could go on, and it doesn't have to be coffee. It could be lunch, could be even dinner. I mean, way before this even happened in 2020, I used to do that because a lot of times people I did know, I couldn't, go to one time I was with Taiwan. I was actually on a panel with 500 Taiwanese people came and had me on a panel discussion. But then afterwards, I wanted to follow up with a lot of the people. So we just, were on Skype back then and had coffee together or lunch together to discuss how we could continue to get these Taiwanese business owners, upgrade their businesses. And so you can just do it so many ways. You just have to be a little creative. And a lot of the stuff that you would not believe it, but most of us experts have notebooks full of ideas. And you just take that idea, you're going to laugh, but just before the show, I literally was looking through my journal and I found this that I scribbled in, back in March 2019. And I thought, wow, that's pretty powerful. I could turn that into a blog. And, not that I'm monetizing a blog, but I'm still getting the exposure. And it was already written for me. I just had to, tweak it a little bit. Yeah. So I feel like we don't realize it, but sometimes just dust off those old notebooks and you can convert a lot of that stuff into electronic products. And I mean, especially tips. Everybody thinks about reading a book, But I can also tell you a lot of the executives I talk to, they don't have time to write a book. So I would either recommend writing an anthology book so that you have one chapter and they still learn about you, but it's not you having to take all the time to write the book, or even e-tips, giving the top 10 reasons why you want to do whatever your area of expertise is. And sometimes they'll pay 4 times as much than for your book, just because they feel like they can easily read 10 bullets, about what to do.
Yeah.
And so there's just numerous ways you can use your expertise to make money. But a lot of times people don't do it because they don't have a way to upload it fast and start selling it. We're on Link to Expert. We already have the online store, the PayPal already set up, the shopping cart. It's all ready to go. You just move in a couple hours and, take your business online and scale it to do all these different things.
Hey everybody, Jess here. What if I could help your company find over $100,000 in hidden revenue streams in less than an hour without spending an extra dime on advertising or marketing? Reach out to me at cardzap.thebumpcard.me. Check out the video on 5 steps to profit, and also reach out and we can have a conversation. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Joanne, could you tell us a little bit about the book, the anthology you're working on?
Yes, there's a new...
We do those anthologies, and they're pretty awesome. And I know you're currently working on one. I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
It's called Engaging Experts. And so it's right in line with what we do. So different experts will each have a chapter about their area of expertise. And then we're also having a companion magazine to go with it called Engage with Experts.
Nice.
That will also have the information, not just about the expert, but then even to go deeper. I always like them to learn more about the expert. So because it's a digital magazine, Jess, you can actually click to, have them click to go to your podcast, click to go to your chapter of your book, click to go to schedule time with you, click to, buy your e-course, whatever it is that is important to you, or even have multiple in the magazine, because again, it's digital. So that you can use it as I call it a sales funnel, because you can even have them go to multiple things. Once they go to the one, they can go to another one to schedule the time with you or whatever. So I feel like anthology books are really good because of the fact that it's a true way for a bunch of us to work together and collaborate and become best-selling authors, because of the fact that we're all promoting it to our contacts.
Yep.
Versus just a one person's contact. So it makes it a lot easier to get the notoriety. And plus, then they were even on, like now, I'm on this show with you talking about it. They're also on different media platforms and talking about it. So it just is a much better way to spread the word about your book and what you do and get more people to read it. And I find a lot more people will read 1,000 pages, 1,000 words is what I meant, versus 300 pages about you, and they'll get a good idea if you're the one that they want to hire in this case, because it's about experts.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And one of the things we always talk about is building that credibility. What helps you stand apart from all the other experts out there? What's important, and getting your becoming a best-selling author. Getting into different magazines and PR, and so when people Google you, what are they seeing? What's showing up? And if you can get it where, the first 3 pages are just nothing but awesome stuff about you, people aren't going to go to page 4 and 5 and 6 and, look at your, something you did 25 years ago or whatever it is. But they're going to see all that fresh content that's up to date, that shows you that you're an expert, establishes you an expert, and they're just going to go, wow, I need to work with this person. And that's the power of, because best-selling authors tend to show up a lot higher on Google. They also usually get their own Google snippet on the side, where it actually, a lot of times it'll show your picture and say author, and then have links to your, just by typing in your name, you'll have your own little, it's like Google My Business, but for your personal name, and then obviously getting out of them on social media and different things like that too. But building that credibility is key, and that's why those anthologies are so powerful.
Well, and see, I didn't even know a lot of what you just said about, in the Google. I mean, you teach me things all the time because I feel like you're an online marketing expert that really knows about that stuff. So thank you. I didn't even know that, but that's even better. And it's really true, because a lot of people believe it only, if it's on Google. So
And
good
that's
point.
another thing for Link to Expert. Just being associated with Link to Expert brand adds a bit of credibility. And of course, if they look at your profile, then it has access to, read blogs or materials from you, or, all that stuff. So I admire what the product that you've created. It's a very powerful platform.
Yeah, I think last time I looked a couple days ago, we had like 82,000 free blogs, articles, videos, podcasts. So any subject you're looking for, you just put in the subject and you can read about it, watch it, or listen to it, about that subject from different experts. So there's tons of free stuff too, that if you're just, wanting to figure out if that's one way you should go, I recommend you do that kind of research first, and then decide if you want to hire that person too, after you saw them online, or read their blogs or articles and stuff too.
And one of the things I admire about what you've done with Link to Expert is you've actually gone out and built relationships with organizations. And so when you linked into certain organizations, they might have 15,000 people within that organization. Can you tell us a little bit about like how you find those people and how you structure that conversation?
Sure. Um, it started a long time ago, way before I started Link to Expert. I always felt like, it takes me just as much time to talk to one person as it would to talk to what I would call the influencer. So I feel like if you go to the influencer and, have a good conversation about what they're looking for and what you can do together, it makes sense. And then they're going to tell, like you said, the 15,000 people. And it really is that simple, because of the fact that when you have to tell them over and over again, and a lot of times you have to really tell them, last I heard was 37 times before they even think you're credible. Well, but just imagine if those people that are in that executive, because most of the organizations we go after are executive organizations where they have the C-level executives or business owners, okay?
Yep.
And if I tell them 37 times, maybe they'll listen. But if the person that they already are paying dues to, or paying membership dues is what I mean, or, supporting that organization, tells them to check out Link to Expert, who do you think they're going to listen to first? Well, if they're paying, some of these organizations we work with, they pay $10,000 minimum a year just to be part of that membership. So if they're paying that kind of money, and then we're Link to Experts on their resource page for their members, do you think they're going to look at that? Yes. Versus remembering me that they don't know, and even though I emailed them 37 times. So that's kind of one of my ways to get in their organizations, because we really are a good resource for them. Like we just said about the 82,000 free articles and blogs. I mean, so the leader of that organization usually loves it too, because it gives her members a free resource to find all kinds of people and stay current, because then they start receiving our newsletter twice a month. So they get even more current information consistently and frequently. And so it's really a win-win-win for the executive, as well as for the influencer, the leader of that organization, as well as for the expert, as well as Link to Expert us, So it really, I'm always looking for ways to make it a win-win-win for everybody.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it's a great joint ventures. Sometimes like sharing. Like you can take, like I'd say, an affiliate product, but basically, like let's say I have a LinkedIn master, or a Rev It Up with my podcast. We have a mastermind, but one thing I can do is I can go, okay, one of my guests, is a big influencer. Actually, a lot of them are, but I could go to that influencer and basically say, hey, would you promote this? And we could do a revenue share. And basically they could share it to their 15,000, 30,000, 100,000 followers and or email list or whatever. And then, I give them a little piece of the, an introductory referral fee or whatever you want to call it. But it's just an automatic win-win, because he's giving value to his people, and I'm obviously getting free marketing in that case. But all I have to do is share some of the revenue. So there's, it's a matter of, being creative and finding ways you can, complement each other's resources, or, like, it's kind of like, like a landscaper and a mowing company, they can kind of cross market to each other and they both win, and the customer wins and everybody ends up being happy in that deal. So I just think it's powerful that, your platform actually encourages that mindset and that type of process. So.
Well, thank you. Yes, I just believe that it's better to work smarter than harder.
Absolutely, I agree. And so, when you go out and meet a lot of these people, the influencers and stuff, have you found a certain technique or a certain platform, or what's kind of your tricks of the trade there?
Well, I think more and more of them are looking to do more online, especially in 2020. And so a lot of them are looking for that, but they're also recognizing that they want their members to have this as a resource, this kind of thing, because again, the groups I go after are, in business, either the executives or the business owners.
Yeah.
And so when they do that, they want to have information that will help their members. And then we also do something similar, like you were talking about with the joint ventures. And so if their members even join, we also give them referral bonuses, just as an example. And that's what we call non-dues revenue. And the reason non-dues revenue is important because they can't always be raising their membership fees, but they can look for different ways to be able to still make money that still benefits their members. But, so it's, again, another win-win-win. And I'm like you, Jess, we love to do joint ventures because we really all can help each other, because we all do parts of it that the other part doesn't do. Nobody's an expert at everything. Our experts hire other members of Leads Expert all the time, just because, again, they're not, I feel like if somebody does tell you they're an expert at everything, you might want to run, because,
right.
I really think that would be impossible personally. And I know, thousands of experts, so I don't think anybody's good at everything.
No, definitely not. So, yeah. One of the things I don't talk about it much, but so I've kind of set up partners with a couple folks that do different stuff. So what I sometimes do is I'll go on a company, within an hour, typically we can find $100,000 of hidden revenue opportunities that they just missed. Whether it's cutting things, offering upsells, cross sales, down sales, bundling product, all those different things. We help them identify those. But then I have this other gentleman that comes in and he can analyze books and renegotiate contracts and do all this different stuff. And then I have another person that can come in and redo the if it's a big company, redo some of their, add smart AI stuff to their electrical bill and cut, hundreds of thousands of dollars in expenses. And then I have another lady that does, benefits for the company and can cut, usually by 20, 30%. But I just have access to those people. So when I'm working with somebody, I can say, we could even do these extra things. And those guys, it's typically a free thing they do. And then they just make money on the savings on the back end.
Oh,
so like you go into a hotel and they're spending, $25,000 a month on electricity, and then they add this thing in and they save, $5,000 a month or whatever. But over a course of 2 years, it's a lot of money. And then they just say, okay, we want 10% of the savings, type deal or something. I'm probably kind of paraphrasing how it works, but you kind of get the idea.
That's really fascinating.
But yeah, but it turns out to really can make massive changes in revenue for a company, especially in a time like now when they're struggling. They're trying to make payroll and the kind of they can't operate 100% sometimes because of the virus or whatever. But if they can have people come in there and just kind of analyze things and help them fix little tiny things, it can make a huge difference. So they can make their payroll easier, they can have a little more money for their marketing budget, whatever it is. So I just get excited about joint ventures and the different things that you can do. And sometimes you can barter, services with people that you meet, all kinds of, two experts get together and, joint market a product or, whatever. I just get excited about that stuff. It's just like you said, working smart instead of working as hard. So.
Oh, it's so true. And even today with so many of these summits and stuff, we actually work with a lot of event professionals that are putting them together,
Yeah.
and that they can have people like you and different other members of Link to Expert on their summits. So they like it too, and it's a resource to be able to work with these people and then have all their contact information, not just, I don't mean just their contact information, all this different information that they can post also on the summit about that person all in one place again.
Yeah.
So joint ventures are huge. I feel like with this, what's with the COVID and everything that's going on, is really having more people being open to realizing that they really do need each other to do joint ventures and different things. Because people like you, that's why I love working with experts. Like, you can see things they can't see because we don't realize it. But when we do the same thing over and over every day, we can't see that. You come in and you see that golden nugget of like, wow, what if you would just tweak this and change this a little bit? And now you'd have this whole new product or this whole new service. And, it's a whole new revenue stream for them. But they just never saw it because they were just used to looking at the same thing over and over. And that's why I often, when I do talk to these executives directly, that you really need to have somebody come in with fresh eyes and not get upset with them either. And the other thing is, a lot of times you, the executive that's there on a project basis, you can tell them things that they might not want to hear from their employees. And their employees get scared to tell them because of the fact that they're scared they're going to lose their job or whatever, where you are there for the company, not for a paycheck. You know what I mean? And so that makes a huge difference too when they hire somebody like you on a project basis, because it's a win-win-win again, because you see what they don't see. You aren't afraid to tell them. And then usually you can, or somebody that like you just described, all these different people that that could, help them implement that immediately. Because that's the other big key. It doesn't matter how many things it matters how many things you implement, So
Yeah.
it's huge.
That is huge. Awesome. Well, thank you. We have to sadly wrap it up. I might cry a little bit, but before we go, what's maybe one fun little fact about you that maybe people just haven't heard before? Put you on the spot.
I don't know. I'm pretty transparent, but I love to have fun. I have a grandson that's 9 years old. Last weekend, we actually built a fort. What I did was, over the last couple of months, when people would buy a big screen TV and put their cardboard boxes out at the, for the garbage, I would quick pick them up in the car. And so we built a 3-room hut, and it was so much fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, mine aren't quite old enough for grandkids yet, but I got 4 kids though, so it'll happen eventually, probably. So.
Oh, well, I'm sure you're doing the things with your kids that I'm doing now with my grandkids.
True. My kids are very creative. They can make the craziest crafts you ever seen. So.
Well, go get some TV boxes. Now that, Black Friday just was, maybe there's some TV boxes out there, that people just bought TVs. And you just put them together and make a hut.
There you go. That sounds like
or a fort, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, again, quickly tell them where they can find you, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Info at link, expert, expert.com. And my phone number is 727-791-7338. And the text is 727-243-9453.
Awesome. Thanks, Joanne. And hey, everybody listening, we just really appreciate you. I think we had a great episode here, and a lot of nuggets that you could take away. You may want to listen to this one again and write some things down. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, and of course, leave a review. And we thank you again. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Thanks again, Joanne.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.